Boom. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the C Squared podcast. It's been a while. Fabi, you've been traveling a lot and you've been playing a lot of chess as well, both freestyle chess as well as classical chess. And we've had a bunch of announcements. I feel like it's been one of those weeks in which a lot of things are happening in the chess world and a lot of changes that will probably, be felt for the future are happening. I think there's a saying: nothing happens, and then everything happens in a week's time. Now, do you feel the same? And first of all, how are you feeling?
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit tired, just trying to take a bit of a break because it's been a non-stop period, pretty much from January from Tata Steel, um, and then the freestyle event, But
Yep.
it's been a pretty non-stop period the first part of the year, so I'm just trying to take a bit of a break because definitely it's a busy time, as you said,
Take it easy. Huh?
and yeah, there's a lot going on. All the freestyle events, obviously, that's new. That's pretty much like five tournaments added to the yearly calendar for, well, not for everyone, but some players will play some players will play others. Maybe someone will play all five. Probably, probably more than one person will play all five. Actually, is it five or
Five. Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
it
Including the last
five,
one,
right?
it's five. Yes.
So yeah, that's a huge amount of chess added to the calendar. And then the Esports Cup, I assume you're also referring to that, is another
That's a big
big
one.
thing added
Mm-hmm.
to the calendar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of maybe not the first time, but one of the rare times that chess is kind of converging with some uh, other games in some ways, and and now we're being added to a broader what they call esports, right? Basically, a bunch of different games, and chess is one of them, which is why all these esports companies are very interested now in chess players because we now have value for them, and which is also very interesting, of course, because yeah, you see that crossover and you see a lot of players getting signed up, which means more events added to the calendar, more money for chess players for sure is definitely a big part of it. And also a lot of chess is becoming more public, clearly, because all the people who maybe were interested in whatever Valorant or were interested in Counter-Strike, now they're being introduced to chess, whether they're interested in it or not.
Huge
Um,
market. Yeah, it's a huge market.
yeah.
And if we manage to tap into that, then obviously a bunch of crossover and a lot of new fans are going to come into play. Of course, we don't know if those are mainstay fans, but if it has any sort of staying power, and I would assume it does, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
And
for
we're
sure.
not going to go into the details of the contracts, but it does seem to be very much a long term thing, or at least, for the next few years. So
I
it
mean,
could be
like what
interesting.
I can say, what my I was signed up by Team Liquid, which is one of the biggest esports groups,
Oh, yes.
and as well, Magnus is also on the team, so it's the two of us. I don't know if they're planning on getting more players, but as far as I know, for the moment, just the two of us that are playing, and it's all leading up to the Esports World Cup. That's the goal of Team Liquid, so that's also our personal goal will align with the team, right? To get as far as possible in the Champion Chess Tour and then the Esports World Cup if we make it there. I think Magnus already did make it there.
Yes.
I guess
He
the winner
qualified.
already makes it.
By winning it, you
Um,
qualify.
I I still need to get there, which is not going to be easy for sure. Only one more event to make it. And right now I'm I guess tied for like 12th position or something like that, which maybe currently I would make it if it stopped now, but there's still one more event to go. And I mean I can say that like for me it was also announced publicly that it's a 3-year partnership that we have. Um, of course, who knows what happens beyond that, but 3 years is already quite a long-term thing. And so definitely they're in it for the relatively long haul, at least a few years. And in terms of chess in this market, then that I can't speak for. I don't know, if chess will be included in the next one or the one after that. But it's very likely because I think the difficulty is getting into the space. Once you're in the space, then staying there is much easier than getting there in the first place. You kind of have to break that barrier first. So now that chess is included, I wouldn't be surprised that it continues being included. Um, it's a bit unusual, right? Because it's not like other games. It's not really a game that I mean, we do play it on the computer, but traditionally it's not played on a computer, it's a board game. And the only reason that we do play it on the computer is, well, kind of started out as a way to connect with people who are far, far apart. Not because like the easiest way to play chess is, of course, to get a physical board and play on the physical board. But but starting from 2020, things changed, of course, for obvious reasons that year. And then online chess took a um, major turn for in terms of popularity, right? We suddenly it
Absolutely.
became I don't know if it's equal in terms of amount of chess. I mean, probably not equal, but definitely it's a major part of the chess scene. Maybe it's 20% of the chess scene now.
I would say
And
it's probably more than that. 20% seems very low. Um,
yeah, it could be.
I guess depends on
It could be
how you
more than
look
that.
at it, right? Because obviously we've had broadcasts before, but since 2020, it feels like now even the broadcast scene has experienced a lot of growth, right? You have all these companies, you have all these streamers, you have all these content creators. Like it seems the whole ecosystem is more or less moving in one direction, and that is putting things on the internet. Now, in terms of playing it as an esport, I felt like that was just a natural progression. And it kind of dawned to me that it's going to happen, and most likely it's going to happen fast. Like I didn't feel it when Hikaru was getting signed during 2020, 2021, when BOTAs were getting signed by organizations, because that was mostly a content creator thing, right? It wasn't necessarily like a chess players thing. Like there were very few chess players that were making that type of content and could also be competitive at the highest level. BOTAs was mostly, I would say, probably signed as a content creator. But right now it's fully chess players. Obviously, it helps if you're a content creator and you can combine the two because that's going to bring more value to the companies. But it feels like they're also going for very much chess players based on skill.
Mm. Yeah, that's their
So
main goal.
yeah, and it's cool, and I think it's exactly as you just pointed out. Once you already got into the door and you already get the first year, I'm sure it's going to be fun, and I'm sure it's going to like keep moving forward. I see absolutely no reason why this would stop, and especially since organizations such as Team Liquid, and all the big ones are Falcons, Hikaru, and whatnot. And I'm sure they're going to have some announcements later in the week as well. But it does seem like with these big organizations stepping in, it's going to be very difficult for these competitions to oust chess after 1 year, right? They're not going to be like, oh yeah, we've had 1 year and now chess is over for the esports World Cup. So I do feel
Yeah,
like it's just
I'm this depends probably on how it's received.
it's
Um,
going to be great. It's going to be
which yeah,
great.
people watch once it's there, people watch. Um, and yeah, the thing with chess is, of course, is it accessible to people who don't know chess very well? Probably not. On the other hand, I think that most people who are watching chess, they don't know so much about it at this point. And I've said this in the past as well. Not even like meant as a criticism. You can, of course, watch. I've watched many games that I'm not very good at or don't know much about, and I can enjoy it. But it's just accessible to that group of people because it's not like football or basketball where I kind of understand the basic rules, even if I don't know much about it. I understand that ball goes in the hoop, ball goes in the net. With chess, it's like, yeah, I understand what checkmate is, but the kind of all the in-between stuff, all the variations are a mystery
There's a big
to
learning
99
curve. Yes,
point. Yeah,
there's a big learning curve.
yeah, I mean, even like when I watch something, it's not like I immediately get a grasp of the position. I still, when it comes to like very fast forms of chess, you can't really go too deep in a position in a second or two. So very often I just have the general idea of what's going on, like not, maybe someone's better here and I can see the basic tactics, but I wouldn't say that I understand everything about what's going on. So it's definitely a game where, because of its complexity, it can be a bit inaccessible. That's true.
I think
Uh,
it's about the personalities also. It feels like finally we have the type of personalities that chess needs to grow, as a spectator sport, as a viewer's sport, especially in this type of social media based world. Like we're doing the podcast. Obviously, Hikaru is the big content creator. Magnus obviously has already kind of a platform of his own, and you have the take ecosystem that's being built around him as well. So there's a lot of things that are converging together, right? And now you get people from outside of the chess world with freestyle, and I'm sure we're going to get into that as well. But it just feels it's the right time, right?
yeah, it's, I mean, I don't know because on the one hand, I think it's a fine time for sure. There's definitely a lot of interesting things to talk about in the chess world. There are a lot of interesting players, a lot of interesting storylines. I don't think that that was not existent in the past. I mean, sure, now it's been a bit more, modernized. So you have the internet and you have people like Hikaru
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I
kind of
meant.
mix in both. They, but we had interesting people in the past too. Um, for sure, there's a lot of interesting history in chess, which it's just that before the internet age, I mean, most of these things will only um, be kind of researched by people who are very interested in it. People who read chess books, people who are interested in chess history, and now it's just more widely accessible. You just go on. I mean, Magnus went on Joe
Exactly.
Rogan.
Exactly.
A few million people watched that. Probably the majority of them not chess players or not even chess enthusiasts, just people who watch Joe Rogan, um, which is obviously that's a
It's
huge
huge.
platform.
It's huge. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And yeah, we're just kind of mixing into the non-chess world. It's kind of it's not the first time for sure that chess has done that, but it's one of the more significant kind of crossovers, I would say. And, people are, for whatever reason, they're just, I think it's a little bit random in some ways. People get interested in things that other people are interested in. So it's just once you have that push, and it can be small things. It could be like Elon Musk saying chess is a silly game that's too easy. And
or
then some people get interested.
tweeting about the anal bleeds.
Or it could be the Hans and Magnus thing, and then some people get interested. And then there's a Netflix thing, and then more people, or there's the Queen's Gambit show. And just like adds people here and there. Some of them don't stick with chess for sure because I might be interested in, I might be interested in Baccarat for 2 weeks and then I lose interest. I mean, it's unlike everyone. There's not always 100% retention for sure. Um, and I've also complained sometimes about the people uh, who get interested. Like I don't think all media is good. I don't think that just because you have more viewership, it's necessarily good. Uh, I do kind of like miss when people who that everyone who's watching has a pretty good level of enthusiasm and good understanding of chess. Like not that they're all titled players, but they, they care about chess. Now I think a lot of it is just they're watching randomly. Like, they found Gukesh's world champion 2 weeks ago, and now they decided to watch freestyle chess. I really think this is a major part of the kind of online viewership is just they were introduced to chess recently and now they're watching. You can also tell from the comments very often, right? It's people who
Well,
don't really know what they're watching.
that's true.
Um,
That's true on some degree. But again, I mean, why would we worry about that? And um, to be honest, I think that ended a long time ago. Like I remember watching comments on Chess Bomb, and there were all sorts of like crazy comments on Chess Bomb from people that most likely didn't know anything about chess as well. And this goes all the way back to like I don't know 2013, 2014, like a decade ago.
mhm.
So I don't feel like necessarily it has changed that much. There's still going to be players and spectators and viewers that don't necessarily care that much about chess, but they like to see the competition. They like to see whatever goes into that, you know, the stories around that. Like, hey, this guy hates this guy. This guy has a great record against this guy, and now they're facing each other, and they're the best players in the world. This type of stories, right? This type of storylines. That's why we watch sports in general. So I don't know. I feel chess is in a good position right now to succeed, and I'm glad
No,
to see it.
it's yeah, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. Um, my position is just my position. It's uh not objectively true and probably not most people's position.